Hi, my name is Zach Romero, and today I'm going to be talking about relaxing your fears away. So, why is there an importance regarding anxiety? So, anxiety is something that we may deal with throughout our lives, but it is up to us to make changes to combat it. In today's world, many problems can come together as a whole, causing anxiety disorders. This may be due to work, school, or other circumstances, making it hard to focus. Secondly, anxiety disorders can disrupt and destroy someone's daily life with this in mind. It's important to understand the systemic causes behind the different anxiety difficulties that you're working with. In our case, we are going to be looking at phobias and how you might be able to eliminate that specific fear response. Wolpe's study of systematic desensitization. Joseph Wolpe, a South African psychiatrist specializing in behavior therapies, conducted a study in 1958 based on desensitization techniques that could potentially work as an anxiety treatment form. His fundamental idea of behavior therapy was based on the fact that you have learned the ineffective behavior in the form of a phobia, meaning that you must unlearn the phobia through his process. So why? Wolpe was determined to show others that phobias could be treated based on reciprocal inhibition, where one response could inhibit the other stimuli in a series of steps. So, Joseph Wolpe's hypothesis. First, as a behaviorist, Wolpe believed that phobias were learned during a time in your life through classical conditioning. This is where an object can become associated in your brain with increased fear. He also believed that over time, humans have associated certain conditions with an immediate fear response to increase survival. Experiment hypothesis. In this, Wolpe hypothesized that you must experience a response-like relaxation that is inhibitory to your fear or anxiety in the presence of that feared scenario. Wolpe stated that a response inhibitory can be made to occur in the presence of anxiety-provoking stimuli. Therefore, the connection between the stimuli and anxiety will be weakened. So let's go over our methodology and procedure. So this was based off 3 steps. First, phase 1 relaxation training. You had about 35 volunteers, and your goal was to eliminate your phobia. And during these training sessions, you are working with the therapist to pretty much be able to get to the point where you can relax yourself even without the help of the therapist. Phase 2 was the anxiety hierarchy. So in this step, you were to make a list that started with light, uncomfortable situations, but progressed eventually reaching the worst anxiety producing situation. And this was all being done with a therapist. Phase 3 was our desensitization process. During Phase 3, participants were asked to place themselves in a state of relaxation. From there, the therapist would describe each scene in order of your hierarchy, and during this process, the participant is tasked with pretty much staying relaxed. If relaxed, the therapist continues down the list until completed. If there is an anxiety during a specific step, the therapist would stop until you become relaxed again, and this was done over a few sessions. Next is Wolpe's experiment results. So with the total patients of around 35, there was a 91% success rate with the average number of sessions at around 12.3. So there's around 68 phobias being treated, and 62 were completely or pretty much partially successful. And the remaining 6 phobias, or 9%, that were unsuccessful were due to other specialized problems. So let's look at our trend in patient outcomes. So with criticism of relapsing phobias, Wolpe followed up 4 years later with 25 out of the 35 patients to meet again. Every patient that he met with experienced no new symptoms or new phobias after this full desensitization process. So, like I said, let's now segue into the significance. So, Wolpe's experiments with systemic desensitization was important because it showed the success and advantages of this process rather than the regular psychoanalysis methods. First, the goals of psychotherapy could be clearly stated in every case. Secondly, the sources of anxiety could be clearly defined. And in addition, patient reactions during the hierarchy process could be measured, and therapy could be performed with others present, even with changes. So, let's go through some future findings. After Wolpe's study, more experiments were conducted between 1969 and 2016. The first study in 1969 by Paul proved that systemic desensitization was significantly more effective in reducing anxiety than other treatment groups with the same phobia. Again, in Fredrickson 2000, Wolpe's findings based on reciprocal inhibition were used for new treatment strategies for other stress-related health products. So we can see how his overall base helped for future findings. Secondly, With the overall process in place, anxiety and phobias are now being able to be treated at a faster rate with better results. By maintaining relaxation and understanding your breaking point, systemic desensitization has provided a path to successful treatment at your own pace. It has proved that anxiety stems from situations you have experienced and how you can perceive them after those incidents. Therefore, the only way to overcome your phobia is through relaxation in an anxiety prone situation. So, our conclusions from this is that this study has proven that you can change your way of responding to the triggers of anxiety, and to complete this process, you must learn how to cope and relax with exposure therapy. Overall, Wolpe paved the way for dealing with phobias through the process of systemic desensitization. By understanding that a patient doesn't want to live their daily lives through this process of being feared, he came up with a perfect way of being able to suppress that anxiety and give you a different way to fight back against these emotions. So, just like all the other studies that we're going to see throughout the few weeks, systemic desensitization has been used and continues to be used for real life problems. So, in our everyday lives, people deal with different phobias and anxiety daily. So, to cope with these issues, therapy is often sought after to improve current conditions. And during the past few decades and up until this point, veteran PTSD has skyrocketed at some alarming rates overall in the world around us. So, as a form of relief, systemic desensitization with a prolonged exposure therapy has been used to calm the effects of PTSD and try to combat it, give another way for veterans to fight back. So, in this process, veterans are being able to get the chance to describe anxiety triggering situations in order. With this information, the therapist can help teach them methods of relaxation that can be used on their own, and from there, the veterans are tested through a list of triggers to build up that tolerance that enables relaxation to fight back despite their encounters with certain stimuli. And other medical issues like OCD are currently being treated with the same basis processes to provide quicker and more efficient outcomes for more patients. And other examples, specific anxieties are also being attacked with this same process to give patients the best way of life overall. So, thank you for letting me present today to you guys.